Next, let's focus on the nav bar. So for this nav bar, we need to export this sprite menu icon. Let's go ahead, export it with 2x size, and maybe instead of PNG, what we'll do is we'll go with SVG. So when you're exporting it as SVG, it doesn't the one axis automates it doesn't exist because the image itself is going to be a scalable vector. So I'm changing the type to SVG and I'm exporting it. So sprite menu.svg. Now just like any SVG, let's create a nav menu. So the navigation menu, nav menu button, nav menu button. So it's 44 by 44 pixels, whereas the sprite is 88 by 44. So with 44 pixels, right? 44 pixels. So background image, right menu.svg, and the background size is 88 pixels, 44 pixels. And any overflow I'm going to right. Create a new span, nav menu button. Let's see how it renders first. Okay, the height is 0, 0. So display inline. Now we have a nav button 44 by 44 pixels. However, we need this. We need some padding on all four sides, and we need a home and a login links here. So I'm going to go turn on the layout grids. And go to View menu in Figma and click on Layout Grids. You see there is a grid in place. So I can click on the layout grid here. The properties is set as the margin is set to 16 pixels, which means on the left side it is 16 and on the right side it is another 16. So in addition, we have the background color, just this value. Let me copy it, go back, and I'm going to create a new nav. Background color is this, and I'm going to apply the classes. We have this, but we need to have that left and right spacing. So we go ahead, add padding inline, which is left and right, 16 pixels. So this 16 pixels is the margin defined by this grid, layout grid. So now you can see that there is a 16 pixel. Let's switch back to on the left and right, you see the 16 pixel padding highlighted in green. We also need top and bottom spacing. So 12 and 12. then and you can actually see a small space below the nav menu button, a very small space. This can be removed by setting the display to block. Now you don't see the spacing below the button. In addition, we have to use this home and login links here. Div okay. I've added a div and it goes immediately below because this is block level element, so it takes the entire row, and div is another block level element which takes another entire row. So the only way to put these two next to each other is to make the parent element set or set the layout to flex. Let's go back to just move this on top so that I know nav is the parent element and the nav element is the child element. So here I'm going to change the display to flex, and in addition I'm going to add another class, nav links wrapper. So here, nav links wrapper. For that, let me check if these two are now next to each other. Yeah. So I've set the nav to have flex display, so that the button and the wrapper are next to each other. So now I have to also introduce a space between this rectangle and the home button. So which is going to be about 10 pixels. So the space between the button and the nav link wrapper, it has to be 10 pixels. So that can be achieved by setting the column gap for this flex box. So for this flex box, I'm setting column gap 10 pixels. And the next step is to spread out this div so that the home is on the left hand and login is on the right hand. So for that, again, what I'm going to do is I'm going to turn this nav links wrapper into a flex box. Display flex and justify content space between. So now I'm going to refresh. Okay. Okay, this is not taking the entire width. So what we have to do is flex row 1, make the width, yeah. So this flex row 1, what it does is it tells the div to use up the whatever the remaining flex spaces. So here flex row 1. However, the link looks a bit different in the original design. I'm going to turn off the layer grids or press Shift G. So here, the link is about 24 pixels in height because the font family is Inter. Font variant is semi-bold, and the line height is about 150%. The color is also black. Let me quickly go ahead to enter, select semi-bold. I think we'll also need regular and semi-bold. So get font, get bold. Copy this code. Add paste here. And the body tag family as enter sensor. And for all I think it should automatically take the interphone family. It's taken interphone family, just that we don't have okay, we need all text to be capitalized, and the active item should be semi-bold with line height of 50%. Instead of setting the line height for each of the anchor elements here, what I'm going to do is I'm going to set the line height for this div element so that any child within this div element will have a line height of 150%. Line height 50%. Some reason, okay, the flex is still affecting the height, so content. When you set the height to the content, you can see that it has taken the line height of about 24 pixels. See, you can see it here. Height is 24. Okay. Right. However, we need this to be center aligned. So on the navlinks wrapper, what we have to do is align items center. It is aligned to center. All we have to do is we have to remove the text decoration for this, which is remove the underline and change the color to black and turn the text to all uppercase. So navlink text decoration none. So it removes the underline. Color is black. We do a text transform to uppercase. And since the active element, see here, for this one, a regular link, the font style is regular, whereas for this one, you see the font variant is semi-bold. This is because this highlights the current page that you're seeing. So what we have to do is we have to create a new class called current page, and whenever there is this nav link with current page, with this font style or font weight, a semi-bold should be about semi-bold is about 600, so 600. Yeah. Now you see the current page has the font weight applied to 600, and the other one, all the other links have the font weight as regular 400. So this is just the first part where you just have a nav bar, a button, a label or a link displaying the current page, and another link showcasing the login page. So the next step is we need to have a drawer, a sidebar like this that shows up whenever this button is clicked. For that, let's look at the z-index of these elements. So ideally, what we have to do is we have to have this navbar at the lowest level. Let's call it as layer 0. And on top of this, we'll have the sidebar, which will be layer 1. And above that, we'll have this button, which will be layer 2. So let's mark it in our CSS class. So I will add it in comments here. So on the top, which is a nav menu button, will be layer 2. Nav sidebar will be layer 1. The nav bar itself will be on layer 0. So this is our to achieve this, let's say, okay, the layers are basically defined by using property called z-index. So nav bar z-index will be 0, the nav sidebar z-index will be 1, and the nav menu button will be 2. So nav menu button, before let's add z-index 2. So we have to define a sidebar with z-index 1. So let's go ahead and side. Let's call it nav sidebar. Okay. For this, we have the background color. And also we have the z-index set to 1. Okay. So what happens is this should be Yeah, this should be positioned absolutely so that it covers the entire page. So how we do that is we take the parent. So this is the sidebar, and the parent element is the nav. So we set uh, position relative, and on the nav sidebar we set position absolute, or fix it, and height 100%. The width has become 0 and height has become 667. So we have to add some content. This home about the services contact us. Let's add. Okay. It shows up, but it's slightly off. So the reason is we define this as we've asked the browser to position this sidebar relative to the navbar. We have not given the coordinates. So giving the coordinates as left 0, top 0 pixels. Position shouldn't be okay. The positions, the top shouldn't be 0. It should take this 100 pixels into account. So top should be 100 pixels. It takes it correctly, but we have to have these links displayed top to bottom, just like this. Again, maybe you can see there's a padding of about 60 pixels on the left, and very likely the padding is for this will also be like 60 pixels on the right, so that this sidebar is symmetric. Go back to sidebar, padding inline 16 pixels. Yep. And what about the the first link is about 80 pixels from the top. So what we could do is we could add a padding top, padding block start for the padding top to 80 pixels. And then maybe set this to display flex as well, and set the flex flow to column. So display flex flow column. Now everything is laid out top to bottom. However, we need to adjust the spacing between the links. It's about 22 pixels. So what we're going to do is we're going to set the row gap between the elements as 22 pixels. So over here, row gap 22 pixels. And again, we don't want them to have this text separation or lowercase letters and the color to be black. Luckily, we have defined this already in nav link. All we have to do is include the class here. Class. nav. This should do the trick. Yeah. Okay. So this is how, and the sidebar seems to be, the width seems to be a bit shorter. It's about like 135.53 pixels wide, whereas the original design it was about 153. So what we could do is we could say the minimum width to be 153 pixels. Now it closely resembles the design. However, in 53, this is way, it's close to about 185. Okay, the reason is what happens is the content takes 153, and on top of that we add 16 pixels plus 16 pixels. So we can go about in two different ways to fix this. What we could do is we could add up the 60 plus 16, which is 32 pixels. To set the minimum width to 153 pixels minus 32 pixels. Or what we could do is we could set the box sizing to border box. The present thing, box sizing is border box. So now if I go back, hit refresh, you see automatically it takes 121 pixels as the content width and the padding 661 on the side. So this looks more like our actual design. However, this sidebar should be visible only when the nav menu button is pressed, or when the nav only in instances where the button is toggled. So what I'm going to do is we have a sprite here. Button close. So background position x minus 4 pixels. So when the user clicks on this nav bar or the button, the sidebar should open up, and when the user clicks on the button again, the sidebar should close. So how do we go about this? Nav sidebar is or what we could do is we could rely on this close selector or close class to do this, so that dot nav menu button close plus nav sidebar to 0. So by default, what I'm going to do is I'm going to move this to the left about, let's say, 153 pixels. Okay. Whenever I click this nav menu button, this close CSS class is going to get applied. Whenever this close CSS class is going to be present, this sidebar will open up. And and I'm going to move this. So when I remove this close class, it goes away. When I add the close class, it comes back again. Okay. Goes away, comes back again. So it's a bit slow. So what we could do is we could bring it down to maybe like 3.3 seconds, so that it feels a bit faster. Now it feels a bit faster. Okay. So for now, for the rest of the exercise, what I'm going to do is I'm going to just remove this this class so that I'm just able to see how it looks without the sidebar. So what we've done is we've had this, we defined this navbar, we've defined the button with the sprite, we've displayed the active pages link, and we also displayed the login link. We also implemented the sidebar, which opens up and closes in the mobile view. The next video will focus on the navbar in the iPad mini layout or the iPad portrait layout.